Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Looking at Game 1, NBA Western Conference Finals here with the Thunder at home against the Minnesota Timberwolves, bringing you everything you need here for Game 1 and for the series as a whole with some outlooks for you, the matchups and insights that you need to place those bets for yourselves. Going to be doing the same thing here with the Wednesday Eastern Conference Game 1 as my Knicks are at home against the Pacers, so going to be doing that throughout the playoffs. Make sure to sub to that channel. Don't miss any of the action that we're bringing you moving forward. Thank you for your patience for those of you guys who are waiting on WNBA content. Still easing into the week here as we've only got a few games under our belt for the ladies. Going to be getting into all that stuff moving forward. But let's dive into this Western Conference Finals Game 1. If that all sounds good, give this video a like. Let's get right into it. Looking at the Game 1 notes that we've got between these teams, a little bit about the series as well. We don't have much to gain from the regular season. We saw Chet Holmgren miss like the first game and the last game that these teams played. And then we saw Rudy and Julius Randle miss the final 3 games that these teams played. So not much to gain from what they did in the regular season against each other. But I will say, if we're talking about experience, OKC does not have the upper hand there. They have one player with conference finals experience. That's Alex Caruso. Minnesota, because they went last year, has a squad full of people other than Randall and Dante DiVincenzo. They're obviously new. Those two guys are the only ones that didn't play in a conference finals for Minnesota. We'll see how much that helps them. I'm not putting that much stock into it. I know people are going to talk about experience at this point in the playoffs. I don't really care. I think the disparity in how good this Oklahoma City team is versus Minnesota is going to ease the pressure on some of those players that haven't been there before and make things a little bit easier. But these are my X factors for the series in general. Can Jaden McDaniels guard SGA? He couldn't really during the regular season, and SGA got the switches that he wanted, especially to help him have a really, really nice season against the Timberwolves specifically. And then Randall, who missed the last 3 games, he's massive to me in terms of how well he plays on offense. Can he take Chet? Is he going to be able to get on the offensive boards? Is he going to be able to be a playmaker when Ant gets doubled? We're going to see, but he's going to be important in pretty much every facet of the game here on the boards and as a playmaker and definitely as a scorer as well. And then as far as role players, it goes for both sides here. OKC and Minnesota, can the role players make shots? I would argue that OKC's role players are in a better position to make shots, mostly because that OKC defense is so filthy. So it's going to limit everything for the opposing team. But also, I think they're going to have a little bit more breathing room. Like OKC is going to be up. They're going to be leading. They're going to be able to score. And as a result, those role players aren't going to be under as much pressure to hit big shots as much as they'll be able to sort of ease into things, hit shots within the rhythm of the offense. And that's why I do like OKC, obviously, in this series. Let's start with OKC on offense and how they're going to start here. We know the starting lineups for both teams, not going to change. On offense, what I see here for OKC is SGA dominating once again. Now, Jaden McDaniels is going to be on him. That's the matchup no matter what. Mike Conley on Lou Dort. Maybe we'll see some shots for Dort, but I do think Conley's good enough to get out there and pressure Dort enough to keep him from just getting nearly as many open shots as he saw against Denver, which was Denver's game plan. Ant will be on J-Dub, Jalen Williams. That's really the best place for him. That's going to make things a little bit difficult for J-Dub for sure, but should also tire out Ant at the same time. And then Randall and Holmgren, don't really know how that's going to match up. They haven't played against each other in this iteration of both teams yet. So that's going to be a huge X factor matchup. And then Gobert and Hartenstein, I expect them to just beat the crap out of each other, honestly. I mean, both of them being on the floor allows the other one to be on the floor. They're really the only good matchups for each other. Although I would argue Hartenstein's a little bit quicker on his feet than Gobert. But as long as Hartenstein's on the floor, Gobert will be on the floor. That's going to be the consistent matchup. Other side of the ball, pretty much as you would expect, everybody's pretty much guarding the same guy that's guarding them other than SGA and McDaniels, right? You're going to see basically OKC line up on this Minnesota offense with their guards on their guards and the forwards on the forwards where you would expect them. We'll see what Randall does against Holmgren. I mean, if Randall's good enough from further away from the basket that Holmgren has to come out there, then he's going to have an advantage going to the bucket. But if Holmgren can sag off on Randall because he's not hitting shots, well, then he's going to be much more of a shot blocker, right? He's going to be a guy that doesn't have to go all the way out to the 3-point line. So again, Randall and his shooting and everything he does on offense is going to be a massive X factor for this entire series. All right, before we jump into the player props I'm looking at for this game, I did want to point out the superstars and how they'd have done for each of these teams against the other one on the season. 4 games for both of them, starting with Ant. Not so good, right? You can see the points at 22.3, down a few points from his season averages. Rebounds go up, assists go up. 9.3 boards per game against them on 13.8 rebound chances per game. That's up about 2 or 3 from his normal rebound chances during the regular season. Those are at about 11. And he went over in 4 of 4 in terms of the rebound prop that we're seeing for him in this game. We'll talk about that more in 1 second. And then as far as the dimes go, really good as well. 12 potential assists per game, up about 3 from his season average. 6 total dimes per game and over in 3 of 4 for what his prop is going to be here, which we'll talk about in one sec as well. And then if we switch over to SGA, we see his stuff really, really good. Really good percentages, really, really good in terms of the total bottom line stats as well. 35 a game, 7.3 boards, and 6.8 assists. The rebound chances go up to almost 12 per game. The assists, potential assists, are pretty much the same. He's definitely run hot in terms of not getting that many potential assists, but still getting about 7 assists per game versus this team. The big key is that his percentages are way better. He shot 51% from the field against this team during the regular season. He shot 55.5% from three, and he made 10 of 12 free throws per game. So 10 points from the line alone. As far as Ant's percentages go, really, really bad. Should mention that as well. 36% from the field for Ant on his shooting, 32% from the three-point line. He was trying. He got to the free throw line a good amount here. He had almost 9 free throw attempts per game versus this team. That's up from about 5.5 on his regular season numbers here. But SGA, definitely the one who dominated the season series in terms of individual performances. We'll see if that carries over here into the playoffs. I have a feeling it might. As always, going to be using Props Madness here on the show to share my screen and show you guys what I'm looking at. If you do want to jump in, this is the #1 sports betting research platform for all things player props and hoops. Use code LYB. That'll get you 25% off your first month. Also gets you 7 free days if you want to try it out. And this is the spot, #1, the only spot really, to get into the W, which I mentioned a minute ago. We are going to be doing that. So if you do want to jump into the W especially, this is the only platform you can really afford to have here with the way that they break everything down for you. Still waiting on some of the data from the season, but definitely jump in if you want to using that code LYB. Let's kick it off with SGA. Going to run down each player and give you my thoughts on each one, which way I'd be leaning for most of their props here. Starting with SGA, I mean, I just can't get away from the points. I don't want to just jump in and say, hey, look at these head-to-head numbers where he's averaging 35 a game. He went for 40 in the first one, and that happens to be the only game that Rudy was available. So you can't really make the argument, well, Rudy didn't play and in 3 of these games, the last 3 specifically, and as a result, you know, Shai's his numbers are skewed by the fact that they didn't have a rim protector back there. I don't know, man. First game he was there, he dropped 40. So it didn't seem like that defense was bothering him too much with Jaden McDaniels pretty much just taking him one-on-one. I think they're going to throw a few more doubles at him. If you look at the dimes, interestingly, he ran pretty hot on the dimes, which is interesting because we talked about how cold he went in terms of the dimes against this Thunder team, the Nuggets team that they just played. In that series, he had like 20 potential assists per game and about 7 assists. In this series here, if you look at the potential assists per game on the advanced filters here, you're going to see he's at about 13, up a little bit from his regular season, but 13 potential assists to get 6.8 assists is pretty normal. Like, it's not running too hot, too cold. It's just pretty normal. I don't know if they're going to double him, but I don't think we're going to get 6.5 assists very consistently, because I do think that he's going to have to pass at least a number of times and should be there for the dimes. So if I'm looking at game one and I'm seeing what I like for SGA, I don't hate the PRA as a whole, and I don't hate the points by themselves. Those are the 2 places that I'd be going. I don't have a huge read on the assists versus the rebounds. He had great numbers with the rebounds, but ran really hot on the rebound chances. 11.8 rebound chances per game to get 7.3 rebounds. It's a lot. Now, he might be in position to do that again because he's mostly guarding Mike Conley, right? Or let's say DDV, Dante DiVincenzo, when he comes on, or Nickeil Alexander-Walker, right? His cousin. But either way, like, he's not guarding an on-ball guy like Ant. He's not guarding Julius Randle. So he's not guarding the guys who are going to be looking to facilitate, which means he'll probably be in good position once again for the boards. I don't think I want to mess with those, mostly because I just saw what happened last series against the Nuggets. Probably got a little bit tired, stopped going for the rebounds towards the end of the series. It's a new series. It's a new day. So he should be there for it. But I think the points are the #1 play here if you want to bet an over on SGA in this first game. As far as J-Dub goes, I'm just happy that we hit J-Dub in game 7. Said, look, this is the game he's going to go over. And he did, mostly because Aaron Gordon was hobbled, which is what we talked about. That's been the J-Dub stopper. Everybody else, not too good at stopping J-Dub. Head-to-head, he was a little bit inconsistent here on the points specifically, averaging about 19.8. Didn't go over too often, 50% of the time, right? Averaging not even enough to get him over here. Now, the assists look really good. The rebounds look really good. And I think we can still rely on that stuff for J-Dub. He's got a ton of touches in the playoffs now, still was very active in the Nuggets series, just wasn't scoring. So I still think he's very likely to get around 11 to 12 RA, which is about what he's averaging in the playoffs as well, which is a little bit skewed, but about 11 per game here. And if you look at the last series against the Nuggets, slightly better, like 11.8, right, that he was averaging in that one. So I think 12 should be about the projection for him. If we're still getting him at 9.5 RA on this Tuesday game 1, I like that over more than anything for J-Dub. I'm going to have to wait a game to see how I want to bet on the bigs for OKC between iHeart and Chet. My thinking is Chet's going to be good for the boards in this series, and that iHeart is going to be busy boxing out Rudy, so he's not necessarily going to be able to go get the rebound, as his focus is going to be keeping Gobert away from the basket. Chet is going to be in a better position where Randall's on the side, right? He's playing a little bit more away from the basket, but he's still playing out on the wing, which does leave Chet a little bit more able to stay down low. Now, what I talked about in the matchups is if Randall is hitting threes, Chet's got to go out there and get him. That puts him out of position for the rebound. So it's 50-50. I still don't quite have a lean on which one's more likely to get the boards. I think the minutes are going to be huge to dictate the points. If Isaiah Hartenstein and Rudy Gobert each play 35 minutes a game, okay, well, then they're both probably going to be a little bit better for points. But if they're not, and they go a little bit smaller with Chet as the sort of versatile small ball five, then Chet's going to be the one getting the minutes. My point here is I got to wait and see on both these bigs, and probably the same case on the other side of the ball with Rudy and Julius Randle. Need to wait to see because they didn't even play the last 3 games, Randle or Gobert, of this series. So for the bigs matchups and who I think is going to do well between all 4 bigs in terms of the starting guys for both sides, got to wait and see before I feel really comfortable placing a bet on any of them. I do feel comfortable placing an over on Caruso, and I have to use a little bit of conjecture here, meaning I have to project that Dagnall is going to just keep playing him the correct amount of minutes, right? If you look at the last series, he got up to about 26 minutes per game. That puts him at about 25 per game in the playoffs now at this point, or about 22 and a half per game in the playoffs as a whole this season. I mean, he's got to get up to 25. He played 25 against the Nuggets. That's, like I said, got his minutes up. If you look at the last few games here, 26, 27, and it really never got below 24 after game 3 or 4. Meaning Dagnall realized he's got to shorten his rotations. We're not going to see Isaiah Joe very much. We're going to see a lot less Aaron Wiggins. We're going to see probably a little bit less Lou Dort if Caruso eats into those minutes. But you got to get him up to about 26 to 28 minutes per game with the way that he's able to do so much on offense. I specifically like, and defense, obviously. He was a huge reason for shutting down Jokic. But the points and assists are what I'm looking at for him. He's become a really, really instrumental facilitator and sort of just connector, right, on the court where he's always making the right next pass. He's a guy that they feel comfortable having the ball in his hands up top so that he is able to then see the floor and make decisions. They don't trust too many other guys. Finally, I'm hoping that Dagnall realizes Caruso has to play a lot more and that his bench has to shorten to basically Caruso and Jalen Williams and a little bit of Keyshawn Wallace. But you can't have many more than 3 guys coming off the bench. I think, like I said, Aaron Wiggins, probably not that many minutes. Jay Will, maybe not that many minutes. So we'll see if Caruso goes out there and they decide to play small, especially, he's going to be up closer to 30 minutes. Points and assists are my favorite bet going into game 1 for him. As we get into these Timberwolves props, make sure to give that video a like. It goes a super long way to help others get the episode as well. So much appreciated there. As we jump into Ant, and we're going to talk about him first. And like I said, this is a series where I don't think the points are going to be easy to come by for Ant. I'm leaning under for him. If you look at him in these playoffs, he is at 26 and a half. Had a couple really big games. Other than that, he's under 60% of the time on this particular number of 26 and a half points. This is not a number he hit very consistently head-to-head against this team either. If we pull up those 4 games, averaged the 22.3, like I said, under in 3 of 4, had the 29-pointer, but this is also at a time in February where this team was playing without Randle, without Gobert. And as a result, right, like they were playing a lot faster. It was a lot more like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, a lot more Naz Reid as the sort of small ball 5 because of how versatile he is. Even though he's not small, he's versatile enough to be considered a guy that you can play 5 out with, right, 4 out. So I think we're going to continue to see Ant struggle. I think we're going to continue to see the assists pile up for him. That's what I like more than anything is the RA for Ant in this series consistently, right? 11 and a half. He's at 15.3 against this team. In the playoffs, he's up that number to 13.9 as opposed to about 10 and a half on the regular season. He's doing a lot, and I don't trust him yet to score in the playoffs when things just sort of are now all on him. It's become clear that like he's still got a little ways to go in reading defenses and how he makes sure he makes the right play, but he's still capable of the dimes. He did it against this team as they're going to continue to force the ball out of his hands as much as they can, and he's going to need those others to sort of hit some shots to get his dimes. I think he'll be good enough for the RA. I'll be taking him at 11 and a half. I think we can even get him at 12 and a half if it bumps up next game. That might be the limit though. I mentioned I don't feel comfortable yet with Randle or Rudy in terms of the bets. I do think Naz is still getting a pretty decent price at 10 and a half points. Kind of wish we were getting this at 9 and a half. But Naz, I'm going to keep an eye on in this series. I thought he was going to continue to have big minutes against the Dubs. They lost Steph. Everything changed, right? They couldn't play Rudy off the floor. they might be able to play Rudy off the floor in this one if they decide to sort of go small, sit Hart a lot more, play a little bit more Chet. That's going to mean probably a lot more Naz Reid as the center instead of Rudy Gobert. And he's kind of the prototypical player to beat the Thunder. He's a big guy who can rebound and he can hit spot up threes. If you can do that, you should be getting minutes like John Collins, guys like that. Those are really good players against this squad, right? Corner shooters especially. So I think we're going to see Naz for about 25 minutes. I'm going to probably wait for him as well. But the points, PR, and the threes are where I'm going to be attacking Naz, most likely after game one. The last guy I would consider, but I'm going to wait again until I see what's up with game one, is Donte DiVincenzo. Are his minutes going to go up? We haven't seen them rise too much in the playoffs. He's at 26. That's about what he was at in the regular season, 25.9 minutes per game. My projections have been that they need him more against a team like the Thunder. And if they do, and he's up at about 26 to 30 minutes, again, kind of like the RA more than anything for Donte here, as he's at about 6.7 in the playoffs. When he gets about, let's give him just even 25 minutes, 26 rather, in the playoffs. That's what I'm hoping for him. Now we're looking at about 7.3. We're getting the plus money here. I think they're going to need him as a facilitator. Assists maybe a little bit better than rebounds, but they're going to need him as a playmaker equally as much as a scorer. He was ice cold in this last series. If he even just gets a little bit hotter from three, as opposed to 2 for 12, 1 for 4, 1 for 7, 3 for 8, if he can just shoot normal percentages, the points will be there for him. But right now, I still think he's, no matter what, good for the RA. All right, that is all the time we have for you in game one. Make sure you're subbed to the channel so you don't miss the episode for game one in the Eastern Conference as well. Going to come out with that on Tuesday, getting ahead of the Wednesday game with everything you need for the series and game one. So, till I see y'all next, happy betting.